Governor Rick Perry with me right now, long-serving governor of the fine state of Texas, just back from Dancing with the Stars. How you doing? You survived that, right?
I did. My knees survived it. My ankle survived it.
All right, you beat me to that Dancing with the Stars.
Only because you were recuperating.
But now
they
I'm ready.
wanted you.
Yeah, I'm tan, rested, and ready.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of what Donald Trump was saying there? A lot of people interpret that instantly to say, are you saying that our country's voting system is rigged?
I think it's pretty classic Donald Trump. If you remember, I think it was the Cleveland debate. They asked, will you support the candidate? And Donald didn't raise his hand up. And his point with all this is, why would I concede an election when it hadn't even happened? But here's the bigger issue.
Well, no, that wasn't the question, right? The question was, will you accept the final vote, whatever it is?
And I think that's the wrong question. I think that's a red herring, frankly, because what Donald Trump's been talking about is voter fraud that's out there. And my question, and I think as a governor of the state of Texas, we went through this issue. Just how much voter fraud are you willing to accept then?
But do you think voter fraud is... I could see what he was saying about how the system seems to be rigged against conservative candidates, Republicans, disproportionately negative on them versus... And he's right about that. But to go so far as to say you might not accept the vote, do you think that's dangerous?
I think the issue goes to voter fraud, and I think
but is voter fraud widespread enough, Governor, in your gut, to think that it could turn an election, especially if, let's say, Hillary Clinton were to win by a substantial amount?
2,000, how many votes?
Fair enough, but I'm using the example of a big Hillary Clinton win, hypothetical, that he should accept that.
Listen, I think whoever comes up on the short end of this, when it occurs, and we don't know that, will accept it, whether it's Donald or whether it's Hillary Clinton. But, you know, again, I think this is getting way off the subject of who's going to get this economy back on track, who's going to build this military back up. And
but do you think stuff like that hurts in the government? I know what you're saying, and I had a feeling when he was talking about the process being rigged, where it's always disadvantageous for the Republican, and that's...
I don't, you know,
we look at the two issues.
I don't know whether it does or not.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to this is such a different environment that we're in. No one a year ago thought that we would be where we are today.
Fair enough.
There were people who didn't think the Brits were going to vote to get out of the European Union.
Very true.
So, you know, to sit here and try to split some hairs on a statement that he made when the bigger issues need, you know, now he finally said something about veterans. She has not talked about veterans. I mean, I can't.
Do you think
she didn't mention
he missed opportunities, or he was punching consistently throughout the debate?
I think he was punching pretty consistently.
You think it was close?
Listen, none of us have ever been in a debate we didn't miss some opportunities. I don't think anybody's bat 1,000 going into a debate. I mean,
but do you buy the view, and I raised this with a couple of people here, that he had to go for a knockout tonight? If he didn't get a knockout, it would hurt him? Or what?
I don't necessarily buy into that. I don't think he had to. I think every successive debate he's gotten better. I think this was his best debate. I think he stayed on message.
So you think he won?
Yeah, I think he won the debate. Oh, I don't think there's a doubt about it.
Will it move the...
Listen, open borders. I mean, when Hillary Clinton stands up in front of the American people and says, "Oh, I'm not for open borders," and a speech, and I thought it was kind of classic, you know, a speech that you got paid $225,000 for.
Yeah, he had those. Yeah, had those moments.
It was pretty good by Chris. It was kind of
Governor,
like, here, you remember that? It was $225,000.
Governor,
Holy
thank you very, very much, Governor Rick Perry.